Listen, you've got one shot at this thing called life. One. You don't get a do-over. You don't get a rewind button. When your time's up, that's it. So the question is, what are you going to do with that one life you've been blessed with? Are you going to play small because it's safe? Are you going to settle because the world told you that's all you deserve? Or are you going to step up, take a risk, and go after what's truly meant for you? Too many people wake up every day dragging themselves out of bed, going to jobs they hate, surrounded by people they can't stand, living for a weekend that disappears in a blink. They spend their lives surviving instead of living, and that's because somewhere along the line they accepted mediocrity. They got comfortable. Comfort is the killer of greatness. Comfort will whisper to you, "This is good enough," when deep down your soul is screaming for more. You are not created to live an average life. There's something inside you that was placed there for a reason. An idea, a gift, a dream, a calling. But it's never going to come to life if you keep playing it safe. Playing it safe has never built anything extraordinary. Every person who ever did something great had to get uncomfortable. They had to believe in something they couldn't see yet. They had to walk by faith, not by sight. You've got to stop waiting for the perfect moment. It doesn't exist. There's no such thing as ready. You think you need more money, more time, more experience. But what you really need is more belief. Belief that your life has purpose. Belief that you've got what it takes. Belief that you can start where you are and still make it happen. Because if you keep waiting, life will pass you by, and you'll realize you were waiting for a door that was already open. You've got to stop worrying about what people think. Some people are going to talk whether you win or lose. You might as well give them something worth talking about. People will laugh at your dreams until you make them come true. They'll doubt you until you prove them wrong. That's the beauty of chasing something bigger than yourself. It separates the talkers from the doers. Don't you dare settle for average when you've got greatness inside you. Average doesn't change lives. Average doesn't leave a legacy. Average doesn't inspire anyone. You've got to have the courage to stand out, to say, "I refuse to live beneath my potential." When life knocks you down, and it will, you've got to get back up. You've got to keep pushing, even when nobody's clapping for you. Because the grind you do in the dark will shine in the light one day. Your gift will make room for you, but only if you use it. Every single day, you have a chance to move closer to your dream or drift further away from it. The difference is in the decisions you make. The small choices that nobody sees but everyone feels later. Are you going to choose fear or faith? Are you going to choose comfort or growth? Because the truth is, you can't have both. Growth will cost you your comfort zone, but it will give you your destiny. This life you've been given. It's not a rehearsal. It's the main show. You've got to live it with fire, with purpose, with passion. Don't let your dreams die because you were too afraid to start. Don't let the opinions of others become the chains that hold you back. You have one life, one chance. Don't waste it living someone else's dream. Refuse to settle for mediocrity when you were born for greatness. You only get one life. Don't waste it playing small or living safe. Every morning that you wake up, you're given another chance to take control of your story. Yet so many people move through their days like they've got an endless supply of tomorrows. They act as if time is something they can buy back later. But time doesn't wait for anyone. It doesn't pause for you to figure things out, and it doesn't care about your excuses. Every tick of the clock is a reminder that life is passing by, and what you do with those moments will define what kind of life you live. People talk about chasing their dreams, but most of them never even start running. They talk about wanting more, but they keep settling for less. Why? Because fear convinces them to stay where it's comfortable. Fear whispers, "What if you fail? What if people laugh? What if it doesn't work?" But the real question is, what if it does work? What if you could actually live the life you've always imagined? You can't find out if you're not willing to take that first step. Playing small might keep you safe, but it will also keep you stuck. It will rob you of your potential, your purpose, and your power. There's something dangerous about comfort. It makes you forget what it feels like to want more. It makes you ignore that voice inside that says, you were made for something bigger. When you settle into comfort, you start building walls around your own potential. You stop growing, stop reaching, and stop believing. Life wasn't meant to be spent just surviving. You weren't born to pay bills and die. You were created to live, to experience, to contribute something that only you can give. But that version of you doesn't appear until you're willing to step outside the safety net. The truth is, most people aren't living, they're existing. They wake up, go to work, come home, scroll through their phones and call it a day. And then they do it again and again and again, until one day they look back and wonder where all the time went. They let routine become their prison. They trade their dreams for stability and call it being responsible. But being responsible doesn't mean giving up on what makes you feel alive. Playing it safe might make sense to everyone else, but it won't satisfy your soul. Deep down, you know you're capable of more. You can feel it when you see someone doing what you wish you could do. You can feel it when you lie awake at night, thinking about the life you want but haven't built yet. That's not envy. That's your spirit reminding you that your story isn't over. Life will test you. It will throw challenges your way to see what you're made of. Every setback, every delay, every disappointment is a test of how badly you really want it. You can choose to see those moments as signs to quit, or as opportunities to grow stronger. Playing small won't protect you from pain. It won't save you from struggle, but it will guarantee regret, and regret is a heavy thing to carry. It doesn't go away easily. It follows you, whispering what could have been if you just believed in yourself a little more, if you'd taken that chance, if you'd said yes when fear told you no. You've got to wake up every day and remind yourself that this life isn't promised. You're not here forever. That's not meant to scare you. It's meant to wake you up. Every day is a blank page, and you decide what gets written on it. You decide whether it's a story about fear or a story about faith, about hesitation or about courage, about settling or about rising. Nobody else can write it for you. Nobody else can live it for you. You get one life, and it's yours to shape. The moment you start realizing that, everything changes. You stop blaming, you stop waiting, you stop hiding, you start moving, you start creating, you start living like time actually matters because it does. Playing small is easy. It requires no risk, no discomfort, no sacrifice. But it also gives you nothing real in return. Living safe might protect you from failure, but it will also protect you from success. It will keep you from discovering what you're truly capable of. There's a fire inside every person, a potential waiting to be unlocked. But that fire can only be ignited when you stop letting fear dictate your limits. You can't let the world convince you that average is enough. You can't let the voice of doubt silence the sound of your destiny. You were given this one life for a reason, and it's up to you to make it count. Comfort kills greatness. Growth requires courage and belief. The moment you start choosing comfort over challenge, you start shrinking your potential. Comfort feels good, it feels safe, but it's an illusion. It tricks you into thinking you're okay when deep down you know you're not moving forward. The truth is, nothing extraordinary ever happens inside your comfort zone. Every person who's ever done something remarkable had to step into uncertainty, face fear, and believe in themselves when no one else did. Growth is born in discomfort. It's forged in the fire of trial, sweat, and persistence. Comfort will always tell you to take the easy path, but the easy path never leads to anything meaningful. Growth begins the moment you get tired of staying where you are. It happens when you realize that you can't become who you're meant to be by doing what you've always done. You've got to stretch, you've got to struggle, you've got to face the unknown. It's not about being fearless. It's about moving forward even when fear shows up. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's the decision to keep going despite it. Every time you push past fear, you grow stronger. Every time you choose faith over doubt, you build confidence. That's how you transform. That's how you evolve into the person you were meant to become. People want success, but they don't want the discomfort that comes with it. They want the glory, not the grind. But growth doesn't come from what's easy. It comes from the days you want to quit but don't. It comes from the moments you're tested, when everything in you says to stop, but something deeper tells you to keep going. Those are the moments that define you. Comfort won't develop your character, but struggle will. When life gets hard, when it doesn't go your way, that's when you find out what you're made of. Those uncomfortable seasons shape you. They refine you. They strip away everything that's weak, so the strength within you can rise. Belief is the fuel that keeps you going when the road gets rough. When you can't see the results yet, belief is what pushes you forward. You've got to believe that your effort will pay off even when you can't see how. You've got to believe that you're capable even when everything around you says you're not. The mind is powerful. If you tell yourself you can't, you won't. If you tell yourself you're not ready, you'll wait forever. But when you tell yourself you can, when you convince yourself that you're made for more, you start finding a way. You start building momentum. You start breaking limits you didn't even know you had. Comfort loves to whisper lies. It says you've done enough, when you haven't even scratched the surface. It says don't risk it, when the risk is the only thing standing between you and your dream. It says you might fail, but failure isn't the end, it's part of the process. Every great success story has chapters filled with failure, rejection, and struggle. But those moments weren't wasted. They were lessons. They were the training ground for greatness. You can't grow if you're not willing to fail. You can't discover what you're capable of if you're not willing to stretch beyond what's comfortable. Comfort will rob you of experience, and experience is what teaches wisdom, resilience, and strength. You've got to learn to get comfortable being uncomfortable. That's where transformation happens. When you put yourself in new environments, take on new challenges, and face your fears, you start unlocking parts of yourself that you didn't even know existed. Growth requires vulnerability. It requires you to be willing to look foolish, to make mistakes, to start from zero. Too many people want to skip that stage, but it's the foundation of success. You can't jump to the top without climbing the steps. Every step, every failure, every lesson is building something inside you that comfort never could. Courage doesn't always roar. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it's just you deciding to try again, to take one more step, to keep believing even when no one else does. That kind of courage doesn't come from comfort. It comes from struggle. It comes from showing up day after day when you're tired, when you're uncertain, when you're scared. That's what builds resilience. That's what prepares you for your breakthrough. You can't skip the hard parts because the hard parts are what make you ready for what you've been asking for. When you stop chasing comfort, you start chasing purpose. And purpose will stretch you in ways you never imagined. It will demand more from you. It will require you to leave behind old habits, old mindsets, and sometimes even old relationships that keep you small. Growth will make you uncomfortable because it's pulling you toward your higher self. It's removing everything that doesn't belong in your next level. But that discomfort is proof that you're moving. That pain you feel is progress. Comfort will keep you still, but courage will keep you growing. And belief will carry you through the fire until you see the results of your persistence. Refuse to settle for average. You were born with a gift meant to impact the world. Every single person on this earth has something special inside them, something unique that no one else can bring. But most people never uncover it because they stop at average. They stop at good enough. They stop at comfortable. The truth is, average is easy because it requires no sacrifice, no discipline, no hunger. It asks nothing of you but your minimum effort. And that's why so many people live their entire lives never touching their full potential. They think average is safe, but it's really the slow death of potential. You can't stand out if you blend in. You can't be great if you keep lowering your standards just to fit into a world that fears excellence. You've got a gift, but gifts don't shine if they're never used. You have talents, ideas, dreams, and abilities that were placed in you for a purpose. That spark you feel when you imagine something greater for yourself. That's not random. That's direction. It's a sign that you were made for more. But the world will try to convince you to tone it down, to play small, to stay realistic. Realistic doesn't change anything. Realistic doesn't inspire anyone. The people who change the world are the ones who dared to believe they could. They didn't settle when things got tough. They didn't stop when others quit. They kept pushing because they knew average wasn't their destiny. Average people love company. They'll tell you to slow down, to relax, to stop trying so hard because your ambition makes them uncomfortable. But you've got to guard your vision. You can't let the voices of the comfortable talk you out of your calling. You can't let people who quit on their own dreams convince you to quit on yours. When you carry something great inside you, not everyone will understand it. That's not your problem. You're not here to be understood. You're here to make an impact. And sometimes that means walking alone. Sometimes that means being the only one who sees the vision. But that's what separates the extraordinary from the average. Greatness requires standards. It requires discipline. You can't wake up one day and stumble into excellence. You've got to choose it every day. You've got to decide that you will not give half effort to a full opportunity. You've got to train your mind to reject mediocrity in every area of your life. The way you work, the way you speak, the way you show up, it all reflects what you believe about yourself. If you carry yourself like you're average, you'll attract average. But when you start moving like you're destined for more, doors start opening that were never meant for the ordinary. The energy you give off tells the world what to send back to you. Refusing to settle means holding yourself accountable. It means not making excuses when you fall short. It means getting back up, learning, adjusting, and coming back stronger. People who settle blame circumstances. People who refuse to settle create opportunities. The difference is mindset. Average minds see obstacles. Great minds see openings. Average people wait for the right moment. Great people create it. The refusal to settle comes from a hunger deep within, a belief that there's always another level, another breakthrough, another possibility waiting to be claimed. It's about never getting comfortable with what you've already achieved because you know there's more in you. The world doesn't remember average. Nobody builds statues for people who almost tried. Impact doesn't come from blending in. It comes from standing out. When you refuse to settle, you send a message that you value your purpose more than your comfort, that you care more about fulfilling your potential than fitting in. The people who left their mark didn't do it by following the crowd. They did it by leading themselves first. They did it by showing up day after day when nobody noticed, by working when others rested, by believing when others doubted. That's what sets them apart. You've got to stop thinking your dream is too big or your gift is too small. The world needs what you have. It needs your voice, your vision, your creativity, your drive. You don't have to be the loudest, the richest, or the most talented. You just have to be consistent. You just have to show up and refuse to settle when it gets uncomfortable. Because that's where most people stop, and that's where you separate yourself. The world rewards those who go the extra mile because there's no traffic there. Average stops at the first sign of resistance. Greatness begins when you push past it. There will always be moments when you doubt yourself, when you feel like it's not worth it, when you think about giving up. But that's when you remind yourself why you started. You didn't come this far just to blend in. You didn't come this far to be like everyone else. You came this far because there's something inside you that refuses to settle for anything less than what you're capable of. That fire inside you, that drive, that hunger, it's not a coincidence. It's the signal that you were never meant to live an average life. You were born with a gift, and the world is waiting for you to use it.